Hello. Good evening, everyone. Super excited to kick off this month's episode of Behind the Title. We're going to give everyone just a minute. We're at the top of the hour. So as everyone comes in, if you want to jump in the chat and say where you're joining us from tonight, go ahead and let us know. We're so excited. All right, we'll just take another minute here. All right, I see Sally. She's coming from Houston. All right, we have a lot of people jumping in. We're almost ready to get started. I see Jennifer. She's over in Sacramento, and Angelique is in Texas. All right. I think we're ready to get started. So I just want to welcome everyone to this month's episode of Behind the Title. I can't wait for you to hear from our guest tonight, Sarah Hammond. She's also one of our board members for Women in HVACR. But before we get too far, I just want to remind you that this is part of Women in HVACR's commitment to bringing more women contractors to the head of the table. And we can't do that without our wonderful sponsors. So Sarah met up with Rilla earlier this week and got to know them a little better, and just they shared so much about who they are, and we want to share that with you tonight. So just give me 1 minute and I am going to get that started here for you.
Super excited to be here today. My name is Sarah Hammond, and I'm with Women in HVACR, and I am a co-sponsorship chair along with Kelsey Brugerman. Today, we are bringing to you Rilla with Rachel Bonnet. She's super cute and adorable. She's very bubbly, and she's going to talk to us about her sponsorship, all things women in HVAC and all things about her company. Go ahead and take it away, Rachel.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, we are super, super excited and happy to be involved in the Women in HVAC community. And are really excited to be at the conference in a few weeks here. So I will see you all there. But yes, really what I would love to do today is go over what Rilla is and how it can help you and your company. And so Rilla is the leading virtual ride-along software for the home services industry. What this means is when your techs go into the home, they are going to record their conversations on our mobile app, and then we use AI to automatically transcribe, analyze, and give them feedback on everything that they did in their process and help them improve their sales. This is also going to help you, their manager or their coach, to essentially coach whenever, wherever, and virtually, which is going to help you coach 100 times faster, better, and more productive than ever before. The reason that we say leading is since we started in January of 2022, we've helped over 3,000 locations, and we now work with over 10,000 tech. And not just any contractors, but the top contractors. The reason why some of these top businesses in the country, like Neighborly, Home Depot, TurnPoint Home Services, the reason why they're using Rilla is that they fundamentally agree with us that running a sales organization is a lot like playing a highly competitive sport, which Sarah knows about. She has daughters who play volleyball. I also ran track in college, and so super familiar with that. But in this highly competitive sport, we have incredible coaches. So envision yourself, your sales manager, and you also need these superstar players that are naturally gifted closers. But you also need a lot of infield coaching and training to replicate what your superstars are doing and turn the whole team into a championship winning team. To do this, you need a process that can be followed by everybody, not just by your superstars. And so kind of to summarize, you need the coach, you need the incredible player, and you need a lot of infield coaching and training so that everybody in your organization can perform and play like your superstar. And that essentially is how you build these championship winning teams in sales. The problem right now is it's very hard to actually do that. Right? It's almost impossible to get anybody sticking to the same process when you have little clue as to what's actually happening in the home. And so if we were to look at some of the best teams, the best sports teams of all time, think of any sport, any team, any era, and imagine we go back in time and we tell that coach that we're going to let him give the players the tactics, the playbook, the feedback, the drills, just like you give your team all of that material, all that training. And we're going to let that coach track results, see who's winning games, who's losing games. But the one thing that we are not going to do is we're not going to let him see the game. So we're not going to let him actually be on the field. He's not going to know what's going on. We're not going to let him watch the game on TV. We're not going to let him review the game film. They're not going to be able to see the game at all. And so if you think about this, do you think that even with the best players of all times, that they'd be winning all of these championships? And the answer is probably no, right? Because you can't coach, you can't give feedback on what you can't see. And unfortunately, that's the reality of the trades today, right? You can coach your players in your meetings, your one-on-ones, your role play sessions. You can train them on their CRM. We know our close rates, but by the end of the day, we cannot see the game. And because the only way to do that, you'd have to be a fly on the wall, right? You'd have to be able to eavesdrop. And so if you're a manager, or if your manager is managing 5 reps, and they're each meeting with 5 potential buyers a day, that's 125 appointments the team is running. How many of those appointments can your manager actually be present for in a given week? Maybe 5, maybe 10, and that's a lot of time already. And so if that's 10 appointments out of 125 that your team ran that week, that is an 8% visibility. And so that's like if we told Bill from that slide before that we're going to let him watch the last 2 minutes of every quarter of every game. But what if essentially we could hack these laws of physics, right? We can actually put the coach on the field every single time that the rep is talking to the customers. And that is what we have built with Rilla. We built the first ever assistant sales manager who does not sleep, he doesn't eat, he doesn't get moody, he doesn't pay taxes, he doesn't have a family. It's an AI that was solely programmed to be there, right? And to do 100% of that shadowing. And when you can't be there yourself, right? And it's super simple. When your sales reps or your techs go into the home and speak with customers, they are going to record their conversation on our mobile app. And then our AI is going to automatically transcribe, analyze, and give them feedback on everything that they did in that process to improve their sales and help you, their manager, to coach whenever, wherever, and virtually, which is 100 times faster and more productive than before. Now, this is Sylvia. She is one of our favorite managers. And you can see here, she does over 450 appointments per month that she is now coaching with Rilla. So when you put a superpowered coach like Sylvia on every single appointment, it's virtually impossible for your close rate and your average ticket not to go up. So if this is something that is interesting to you, please reach out. My email is here, rachel@rilla.com. Scan this QR code. We're going to be there at the conference, so also please find us in a few weeks. And I look forward to seeing you there. And thank you for having us, Sarah.
What a great presentation. That was a lot of information. I'm really glad I was able to hear that because I'm interested and I'll have to reach out to you when we get there. I also want to state that Rilla not only became a really good sponsor of Women in HVAC, right? You also did sponsoring, I think, of something at conference. Am I correct or wrong on that? So super excited for all that you're doing, for the organization. Super excited to have you guys at conference, and I'm just can't wait to get in front of you and see you at the booth, the Vendor Expo.
Yes, cannot wait to see you as well, Sarah. And thank you for having us.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, well, I know I'm excited to meet Rachel from Rilla at conference in just about a week. They have been a wonderful partner of ours so far this year, and just they will have so much excitement that they're going to bring to you when you get to see them at the Vintage Vegas Expo here in a little amount of time. So I just want to remind you about tonight. So our vision at Women in HVACR is really to celebrate more and more women making moves in our industry. So I want to take you now behind the title. Your title doesn't define you, but your journey does. So I have the pleasure tonight to introduce you to Sarah if you haven't met her already. She is the president of Atlas Electric Air Conditioning, Refrigeration, and Plumbing Services. She leads with vision, innovation, and heart. She's a graduate of Stanford's Scaling Business Program and multiple leadership initiatives. She invests deeply in people, tailoring her approach to each team member. She gives back through board roles, coaching entrepreneurs, speaking globally, and really championing women. I could keep going on and on, but I want Sarah to introduce herself to you. So I'm going to kick it over to Sarah and let her tell us a little bit about herself before we dive into our questions tonight.
Thank you so much, Amy, and thank you, Women in HVAC. This contractor role that we're trying to do is really trying to get more contractors to the table, more women that are working in these offices, even wives of husbands that are running companies, to let them know that there's a place for them to come together. So we're really grateful to have this behind the title opportunity so that we can collaborate and get more of our women together to share the same story. Like Amy said, I own an AC company. It wasn't started by me. It was started by my father. I've since taken it over. He has now retired and I am president, and I have been since 2012. And 2015, I became president and incorporated and added in refrigeration, and then I added in plumbing. And so I'm very passionate about the trades. I speak on, like Amy mentioned, national platforms, because I do understand that we are going to have a lack of skilled workers going forward, and we already do. And so I just am grateful to everybody that is here, and ask me anything you want, Amy.
All right, we'll dive right in then. So many people see your success now. They may be people that are just meeting you or following you or have heard you talk, but tell us about the first big challenge you faced in the industry.
Man, I have many. One big challenge. I live in an area that is predominantly Hispanic. And when I started coming into this business, it was mostly men in my area. You would rarely see a female speaking on HVAC. And so when my father mentioned that he was going to be giving the corporation over to me, there was a family friend in the room with us, and he immediately said, "What are you doing? She doesn't know what she's doing. Why would you give it to her? You have a son. Like, she's not going to be able to take it to the next step." And I sat there, and that was the first time I had ever been told I couldn't do something by a man. And it was pretty shocking for me. And I kind of just sat there for a little bit, and my dad was like, "No, I mean, she's proven herself. She's done the walk. She's worked hard, and I know she's going to be able to make it go further." And I'm grateful that he gave me that opportunity, and he didn't listen to that family friend that could have, made him think about his options. That's number one. I have like a plethora, but that's number one.
We'll keep diving in. I have more questions. So in the chat, we already have some participation, which I love it. The big question is, how old were you when this happened in your career? If you want to share.
I was 34, 35. Yeah. I started working with my dad when I was 32, 33. And then when I was 34, my dad gave me part of the corporation. And then when I was 36, he actually made me president, and I took over. Yeah.
Well, Jennifer says kudos to your dad.
Thank you. I love my daddy. Daddy's girl.
We know you've handled situations where you've been underestimated, like we just heard, but do you have another situation where you felt that you just weren't given the chance before a decision was made?
Wow. Yes, because I'm a female, because I am a female. And again, mostly Hispanic culture where I'm from, technicians would come in to apply. And when they would find out that I was the president and I was the woman in charge, they wouldn't come back to work, because they said that they didn't want to work for a woman, and they wanted to work for a man. And so they would just not show back up. And when my technicians would go to service warehouse areas down here locally, and I'm not going to give the name of it, the guys at the sales desk would make fun of my technicians, telling them, "Trabajas por una vieja? You work for a woman, really?" And they would laugh at my technicians. And so my technicians who have been with me, who have been through that, are still with me today. They're extremely loyal, and I've just been very blessed that even though they've had some difficulty and they've had to, they themselves have had to prove that it was going to be a great work atmosphere and have stuck with me through all of that, that we've been very blessed to continue to grow. And like I said, they're still with me over 15 years now.
It's wonderful just to hear how you can build a team culture by everyone being, on the same page of where you're at and where you want to go. And sometimes those that have doubts might not be able to stay, but I think it makes you a stronger leader when you can corral that team with you that really stand behind your mission.
Agree.
So I want to ask you, we heard from Rilla tonight about things that they're doing in this space. Is there anything happening right now in innovation or trends that really has you excited about the future of the HVAC industry?
Well, I mean, everybody should be on social media, right? We should be doing more with our social medias, with TikToks, with Instagram, with Facebooks, with videos, because that's what's really going to separate us as contractors apart from others. And our AI tools, what are we doing for AI? What are you incorporating? Rilla is something that I'm going to start looking into. I told them I was going to meet up with them at conference. I'm so excited to go to their booth and get more information. But there's a lot of different avenues. We just hooked up ourselves to a answering service through our phones. We bought a new phone system. We just implemented it 2 weeks ago, where we no longer will transfer our calls to a live operator on weekends and on evenings. So we're going to get rid of that $1,200 cost to take calls and to transfer our calls to our technicians. Now, this phone system that we purchased is going to give it direct to the technician. We're going to be able to record everything that comes in. So we're going to have access to every phone call after hours, access to how they handle the calls. And so we're super excited, and we've just saved $1,200 for the month. I mean, it's only 1,200, but it's something, right? And so every dollar counts when you're making things happen, especially when you own a small business.
I remember a time when I was in the industry where we really had to encourage businesses to be on social platforms. And now it's interesting to see where, that's the basic at this point. It's just really integrating that AI. So I know you just shared a story about one product, but has there been anything else where you felt like AI has really empowered you as a leader?
As a leader, oh my goodness, ChatGPT. So I don't know about you guys, but I love my chat, and I also love Fixer AI, which helps me with my emails. So there's two of them that I use every day. And I asked my chat to give me a name. So my chat's name is called Theo. And what my chat did was it gave me 5 different names based on my personality, and it said, "This is your style of leadership. These are 5 different names that would fit your style of leadership." And I chose one of those names, and so we chose Theo. And so I talk to Theo every day, and he helps me out a ton. And then Fixer AI, which collaborates with my email, my Zoom, and my calendar, and it'll automatically reprogram responses to my emails with times and dates and slots and stick it into my Zoom so that I have less steps that I have to do and less collaboration as far as reading my calendar and doing that kind of stuff. It kind of lets me know when I'm open so that I can set up meetings, and if I haven't responded to somebody, it'll bring it up to the top and it'll say, "You haven't responded. This is a response that you may want to look into." And then I'll know, oh my goodness, I haven't finished that off. And so it's very task oriented, and it's done a ton, saved me a ton, and done a ton of work for me. So I love it.
Well, you can definitely tell when you're passionate about something because you can just speak about it so easily. I bet so many people are now going to come up to you at conference and ask you a little bit more detail, so be prepared. But what I'd love to do is pause for a second and let people drop in the chat if they're using a favorite AI tool or a new innovation, so that way we can kind of create some more dialogue around that as we move through our interview with Sarah. So type away while I ask Sarah our next question. So, beyond your title, what defines a great leader to you?
I have a presentation that I drafted, as a matter of fact, this year, um, talking about what leadership really was. And for me, leadership is not having people underneath you, it is having people above you and inspiring people to make a next step and then grow and see them flourish better than you ever did. I talk about women in HVAC and I say, I have 3 daughters, and I don't want my daughters to have to struggle like I did. I want it to be easier for them. I want them to be more focused, and I want them to be more advanced by the time they get to be 10 years younger me, right? And so I feel like true leadership is because you're scaling the next person to be bigger, smarter, and bolder, more bolder than you are. That to me is true leadership. And especially empowering your own teams. Like in my office, my dispatchers, I trained them on everything. And right now my dispatchers train me. My operations manager, I gave him everything the way I liked it set up. And now he comes to me with new ideas and new concepts. And that's what I truly feel is empowering other people to take the lead, to make the mistakes, and where you stand right by them with those mistakes and you help clean it up. And then you move on and we go on to the next thing.
I love that. Definitely that just drive, even within our organization at Women HVACR, is to really be that example, to be able to pull another woman up from behind you and really set them up for success. It's definitely something I think you embody and we embody as an organization. But we have to continue to have those conversations and talk about it because there's a lot of things changing and we need advice on it. And I love that. And so we have some comments about the previous question. So we have one that has lots of ads about Fixer AI, but haven't tried it yet. I'd love to hear more.
I love it. Call me and we'll have a whole thing on it and I'll talk to you and teach you all about Fixer AI.
And Sally says she saw you speak in Phoenix and it stuck with her.
Thank you.
And then Angie said she needs to start using AI more on a daily level. So any tips are great.
You know, one real good thing about ChatGPT is don't take its first response. Go back in when you ask questions, put your methodical thought process behind it. Let it start getting to know the way you analyze things. And when it gives you a response, I'm like, that's not good enough. That's not how I speak. I'll respond and I'll be like, I need some sass in that response. That's not enough sass. And then it'll say, Theo will come back and say, okay, let me do the Sarah sass. And then it'll be sassy. And I'm like, okay, Theo, that's a little too sassy. Can you be a little bit more professional in it? So I make him go back and forth between responses until I get exactly my style and exactly what I want to say with my thoughts. I don't allow chat to create the thoughts. I put my process in it in like outlines or spaces or verbiage. And then I ask it to reiterate my thoughts with my style and my way of speaking. And it's just been the best thing, not only for presentations, and it even helped me with, I didn't have to go to Canva. No, most of the time I have to go to Canva to create a flyer and it takes me forever. And I don't know, it just takes me a while to understand Canva. But ChatGPT did a whole flyer and a whole ad for me, several ads for me. So it can do a lot. There's a lot of stuff that it has availability to help you streamline.
Well, I'm definitely coining the phrase, the Sarah, what was it? Sarah, what'd you call it?
Theo, my Theo.
No, the Sarah Sass. Was that what it was?
The Sarah Sass, yes.
Sorry. I had it and then I lost it. I'm like, I want to keep this phrase forever and then I gotta remember it. But the Sarah Sass, I'm gonna tell my Theo, I need the Sarah Sass, not what I'm gonna say. Okay, so we have some more comments in chat that I want to share with you. I love that you talk to it every day. Great tip. Ashley also said, I also paste what I choose to say so they get a vibe of me.
Mhm.
And then Tasha said, I also have custom chat GPT bots for various needs. That's a new tip, like one for marketing, one for people management, one for certain projects and branding, etc. The custom bots are the best.
They truly are. I love them. And not only that, I also use it for my family. Like I was frustrated with I have daughters, I have girls, all girls, right? I have 3 of them. And one of my 14-year-old, I was like frustrated with her. So I came to my chat and I was like, Theo, my daughter, blah, 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 blah. And Theo responded, remember, she's only 14. Calm down, try these tips, use these phrases, and remember to listen. Because I told Theo about my colors and how I process and who I am so that he could slow me down. And he said, remember to listen. And that was like, I was like, oh, okay, it calmed me down. my daughter came back into the room and I was able to have a great conversation. So it's really like it can do so much for you, so much.
I think I needed to read all my favorite books so then it knows like all the things I'm thinking. Like go ahead and do a deep dive into these 5 books. But Jennifer also said that she really loves that you've made it start making graphics.
Oh
So,
yeah.
I think we think a lot about making commands or emails or prompts, but getting into this whole graphic world is, a whole nother level. So I know you empower your daughters. We've heard about it a couple times tonight, and we love it to be, hopefully the next leading women in HVACR underneath you. But what would you say is something you do to empower other women that are coming up in this trade?
One big thing that I like to do is go to the schools. I highly encourage you guys to get involved in your technical trade schools. Ask them, call them up and say, hey, I'd like to serve on an advisory committee. It's not a massive commitment. They'll give you the dates that they have these meetings set up. If it's available in your calendar, you get to show up. You also, not only do you get to put input on what their HVAC program is currently doing and how they can improve, but you get in front of the students. And they'll even call on you to come out and speak to the female group of girls that are thinking about going into the trades. And that's part of my favorite thing to do because I get in front of these young girls that are really interested in using their hands and wanting to do skilled trade work. And it's just really exciting to see that energy because it reinvigorates my energy. And so that's one big tip that I have for you guys is to make sure you get into those technical schools and serve on those advisory councils. And then Women in HVAC has an ambassador program. And if you guys are not taking advantage of it, I highly recommend you guys look into that program. Women in HVAC will create the PowerPoint for you to take to any school to do any presentation. They put it all together for you. And all you have to do is go into the website, go to the ambassador, sign up to become an ambassador. Somebody will reach out to you and then they'll start sharing with you graphics and the whole PowerPoint presentation. So it's not something that you have to create for yourself, but you just continue to follow. So Women in HVAC has a great process to help us to become those leaders and those speakers, especially for the youth that are coming into our skill trades.
I love that. And for everybody listening, we have an ambassador page on our website. So you can fill out an application. If you already are doing these things within your town, we'd love to have you on our team. So that way we can really give you a kit to help support you with the materials you need, some swag at times. So make sure you check out that ambassador page. It's something that we truly believe in the organization. And we just want to be in every corner and recruiting those women into the trades.
Mm-hmm.
So in our chat, we have back to AI, they were using AI for career coaching. So that's exciting.
Yep.
So now we're going to have a little fun. This is the part of our interview where we go a little off the rails, not around leadership, but we talk about just some fun stuff. So I want to ask you, what is the best piece of career advice you've ever received?
The best career advice. So there's an empowerment trainer in our area, and she said to me that I asked her, how do you not feel guilty when you leave the house? And this was when I was just starting out. I was doing speaking events and I was joining boards, and I couldn't be present at home all the time. And she said she gave me the best advice I've ever had as a mom and as a female in this industry. She said to me, do you get your kids involved in your absence? And I was like, what does that mean? And she said, before I leave, because she coaches everywhere, she said, before I leave, I talk to my kids and I would tell them, I'm going to go here to this location. These are some of the things that I'm going to learn. And when I go there, I'm going to be able to bring back some income and we're going to be able to put this away and take this trip. So are you guys okay with me doing this? What do you think about what I'm learning? And then what do you think about this trip? Right. And so when they were smaller, she would do those things. And then when they started to get older, she would start telling them, what trip do you guys want to take? Let me see how much I have to create in monetary income to be able to put enough money to take the trip you want. And so that was like an aha moment for me, where she said, get your kids involved in your absence. And I think that has really, really helped me, especially with my kids, because I do leave quite a bit. But my kids already know, hey, mom, what was that conference about? How'd you do? Did you get to talk? So when are we taking that trip? When are we going? And so they have something to look forward to. And it doesn't make me feel guilty, and I still get to enjoy my time away. So that was one huge one that I think is super important for us as females. And the second one that I want to share is something that I had said in a presentation, and a female came up to me and she said that was extremely impactful for me. I was talking about a story that I had gone through, and I said to the group, it's okay to feel the emotion. It's just not okay to become it. And I'm not saying that I don't always become the emotion, because I'm only human and sometimes I do become an emotion. But for the most part, understand that it's okay to feel whatever you're feeling in the moment. Just don't become that emotion to everybody who's around you. That's it.
Those are two like nuggets of gold, which is why this is my favorite part of the interview, because it's so wonderful. People have poured into our lives so much, and it's interesting to hear the different perspectives of people that have poured into your life and the advice that you've held on to and you've taken. And one thing I wrote down is when you were speaking, just talking about filling up your cup with even in service, right? So when we can give back and when we can do things for each other, like the ambassador program or being a mentor, it really, I think, fills our own cups as leaders to be able to feel that level of service, that you're doing something for someone else without even expecting anything in return, right? So that's what really gives us energy and, keeps us moving forward. And, what's interesting, I have gotten to know Sarah in the last year, and she is a girl mom and I'm a boy mom. But it's so amazing growing up in family businesses as contractors and working for our own fathers and having, and the flip side for me, male sons, that we almost really can give the same advice and can receive the same lessons. And there was a time when, my oldest would say, I really want your job when you grow up. Because in my house, me traveling and doing all the fun things just looked like fun and excitement. So, where I didn't feel necessarily guilty when I left, because I had this community of support that I would enact when I would leave. So, I actually just feel blessed that I have all these friends and family that will help me accomplish being a woman that has a successful career. But I had to take a step back, like you said, like your mentor told you, and to bring them in the present, that not all of it is as glamorous as I'm making it appear. And I think we can see a lot of that when we look at things online, and we really need to, one, tell the people that we're mentoring and coaching the same things that we would tell our children, that there are different aspects of the business that you'll have to face and go through, but it's going to take a community of support to help lift you up and continue to help you be successful. And that's just what I kind of mirrored and you're sharing. And so I love that. And we have some people jumping in on chat, and I want to share that with you too.
Okay.
Sally said, that's awesome. I've had a few calls where they didn't know I was in another state. I do bring them places early or have them meet me after as much as possible. And I'm assuming she means her children. Can you talk about your colors again and how you use that? I might need her to elaborate on that.
Yes. So she was in my presentation in Phoenix, and I talked about how I give my staff and my team, even my children, I had them take this equilibria test, which talks to you and teaches you how different people like to be spoken to. And at the end of the day, it also teaches you your triggers. It teaches you what frustrates you, how you are, and how you can irritate other people, because we all irritate somebody, right? Because of who we are. And so our characters don't necessarily always get along. And so in this equilibria factor, you understand, and you're able to understand yourself, understand your triggers, and then you're able to hone in on somebody else's way of speaking and how they like their communication. So I have my staff do this, and I even have it my office before I hire them and I put them in a position. I have them go through this format so that I can understand their personality, how best to reward them, and how to give them direction. If you're a green, you don't, your question is always how, and you don't like to be given timelines. You like to create the timeline. You feel threatened if somebody tells you you only have so much time to get something done because you're so detailed. You like to get a little bit more space. You just need direction on how much detail needs to be provided so that you can get your job done. If you're a blue, you don't like any loud noises or people that are too just giddy or anybody who's very forceful because it intimidates you and makes you shut down. So when you see somebody starting to shut down, it's because they're already feeling that their space or their nature is being attacked. And so we have to stop ourselves, lower our voice, calm the way we speak, and give better direction and bring them out so that they can get buy-in and join your team. A yellow is super giddy, super happy. They like the pretty, they like the fun, and they're all about the who, right? And so who's there? Who's going to be coming in? Who are we doing this for? And they want to bring unity and fun into the picture. And so you have to let them share their creativity or you burn them down. With the blues, I didn't mention, they are the why. Why are we going to do this? So that they can figure out how to put everybody together in a room. That's their big thing is why are we doing this so we can get buy-in from them. And the reds are what are we going to do, what do you need, what's the direction that we're going in. It's just quick, easy, and fast. And so once you start learning some of this different styles of speaking, different styles of leadership, then you can modify your leadership style to the person that you're trying to get buy-in. It's a whole training. I can do one at some point if somebody ever needs it. But yes, I love it, and it's called equilibria.com, and I'll put it into the chat.
Yeah. And someone just asked if it was e-colors. Is it referred to the same?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If anyone wants any of the resources we talk about tonight, feel free to drop your email in the chat. We'll definitely send you a copy of the recording, not a problem. So just as we go along. But I was sitting here thinking, like, can I be like all the colors at a little bit at a different time? Which leads me to my next question is, we have so many things that we're presented for in personality testing and things like that. But as a leader, how do you take those tools and implement them and change your leadership style based on what the person that you're coaching needs?
Really understanding, like I mentioned, triggers. I know that when I walk into a room, I can have the resting face because my brain is like, what do we need? What do I need to see? What am I looking for? What's the goal? What's the end? I'm driven, right? And so I don't walk in and do the, hey, how's it going? How's the family? How are the kids? Not because I don't care, because I do, but I'm the type of person that I get everything I need done. And then at the end, I'm like, oh, so how was your weekend? Because my what is outlined and it's complete. And so I have had to learn my staff, my team, so I know who sits in the front in the dispatch. So when I walk in, before I open the door, I take a breath and then I walk in with intention and I'm like, hey, how's it going? And I have a blue that's first blue. And so I tap her shoulder and I'm like, I hope you had a good weekend. How's it going? And I talk real calm because she doesn't like, me to come in and be like, hey, how's it going? What's up? It would just be too much for her. And so I try to pay attention to the way they want me to speak to them when I do my leadership with my teams. And especially because like my operations manager is a very different personality from mine. And the way he speaks, sometimes I'm like, okay, but I have to remember that that's who he is. And if I change and modify or make a different face, it's going to change his direction. And so I have to maintain myself and smile and nod and let him finish the full detail, because he is agreeing the full detail of everything he wants to say before I interrupt. So I just I count in my head, like, be quiet, Sarah, be quiet, Sarah, be quiet, Sarah. So there's just certain things and tips that you have to learn to gauge yourself, and take that breather. And if I am frustrated, I have to excuse myself from the room because you can see it right away. So I'm not perfect. I have brought my character to the table many times, but it's something I work on. I work on it. If I messed up one day, well, tomorrow's another day. Especially when you have kids, you're going to mess up because you go into parent mode. And I'm telling you what to do instead of let's grow this together and figure it out for the next best steps. And so it's just an everyday process. And just remember, if you think you're perfect, then you're in the wrong room.
I love this, the ability that you can pivot when you understand maybe you didn't, nail it on that first go round, and tomorrow is always another day. And I think being an executive director, I joke sometimes at our dinner table, I'm like leading a board meeting because I'm just so analytical and organized. And even when I talk to my own family, I'm like, okay, what's next on the agenda and where are we going and who's getting picked up where? And my brain can just take me down that path. But hearing the color situation too, I think when I was in banking, we had these little cards that would remind us of prompts when dealing with people or to close a sale or to open conversation, because sometimes we can ask a question that just kind of ends that road and doesn't lead us to more conversation. And I'm imagining myself having this like widespread of different colored index cards where I've like pre-prepped what I might say or might coach someone on based on the employee status. So I just love that. I've never heard of the colors. So, putting it that perspective, because, you even think red light, green light,
Mhm.
like that. It makes a lot of sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on to, I think, my second favorite question. If you could have dinner with any leader, past or present, who would it be?
Amelia Earhart, first female to ever get on a plane, something nobody had ever heard of. Men weren't even doing it, to try to travel around. And then she, we never found out what her final outcome was. I would love to just hear some of her experiences. I wish we could have had recordings or some writings of something from her to get that mindset, because to me, she is powerful. She was a risk taker. She was extremely brave. And she didn't let anything stop her dream of flying that plane. I would love to sit with her and just get a little taste of what was going through her brain.
I love that. She's a first on the answer platform for us.
Yeah.
Thinking about women in HVACR, it's, I think, very similar to being a path that we're really having to pave in most instances within this industry. But I also want to know what you would serve her for dinner.
What would I serve for dinner? I'd probably make her an Italian dish because I like Italian food. I'm really good. I think I'm really good at it. But I'd probably serve an Italian dish.
All right, well, I'm going to everybody's dinner, I've decided, because it all sounds amazing. All right, well, I've been really taking the full stage here with Sarah, so I want to open it up a little bit deeper to do some Q&A with our audience tonight. So we are going to ask everyone to drop maybe some different questions, some further questions you have. You've been doing a great job tonight being interactive. We really love you guys. So let's hear some more questions before I dive deeper with Sarah.
Before you go into the question, Amy, I just want to ask everybody that is present today an ask from Women in HVAC, and that is reach out to a contractor. It doesn't have to be local if you're uncomfortable doing that, but reach out to another company that maybe you've heard of or you've seen, and ask if there's a female in that company that is like the office manager or that's doing the books or the wife of whoever's running the company or the woman who's running the business, and see if she'd be interested in joining Women in HVAC, and talk to her about these behind the calls, because we really need different perspectives and different age groups to come in here and lead us into not only what the next generation is going to look like, but lead us through what we're going through as females in this industry and what our future is going to look like for females that are going through this industry. We're going to lack in the skilled trades. Women really stepped it up when we went through the Depression and the men had to go to war. Women came in, and that's when things really shifted for the females in the world, right? And so we're going to get to a shift where if we're really lacking in the skilled trades, we're going to ask for those women to come in and step it up. And the best way for us to do that is, one, to reach out to a female and bring her into Women in HVAC. If every one of us as women in HVAC members brought in one person just next year, imagine the impact that we could make for the future of women in the trades.
I love that. And I want to elaborate a little bit on it. So when Sarah's saying bring someone in, it's super easy to just get them involved in the calls, get them involved in our events. That way, they have that circle, that community. So I know sometimes we can think we don't have enough time or it's a large commitment, but people kind of pop in and out where they can, and that's perfect for our community. So far, I think we've been keeping up with questions all night. I don't have any new ones, so I'm going to keep rolling, and then if some pop in, I'll definitely keep an eye. But so Sarah, if there's one thing that our listeners could remember from tonight, from this conversation, what would it be?
One thing to listen to from tonight. Join, get involved. I mean, not every place is for you, and that's okay, but you're never really going to know unless you give it a shot. Some places may make you uncomfortable, and some people may make you uncomfortable, but get involved anyways. At the end of the day, you have a voice and you have a story, and you're the only person who can share it. The more you collaborate, the better things you can hear and listen, and it can gauge you and take you to a projection you never would have thought of. I'm living in a style right now where I was not really sure what I was going to do next, and my next is fallen on my feet, and I am just trying to see if I'm going to pick it up. And I'm kind of excited and scared at the same time, but I feel if you're not afraid, you're not really living. So take a hold of that fear, jump in, and get involved. Get involved in your community, get involved with women in HVAC. Just get involved. You'll never know where you will end up for your next step.
I love that. Such great advice, kind of mirroring off, what you've shared with us. So I am going to share with you how to get in touch with Sarah. And then while I'm doing that, I'd like Sarah maybe just to share where we can find you, where we can follow you, any fun new projects that you have coming up that you want to share with us.
Yeah, my Instagram, my LinkedIn, just reach out to me. Let me know what what you want to talk about. I do equilibria coaching and training on the colors, and I can help you guys out with that with your teams as well. I'll be at Women in HVAC, all things. We're going to be out there at we're going to have a connection crawl. So make sure you get there Monday early. So it's going to start from 2 to 4. So that's where we're really going to be able to meet each other and dive a little bit deeper, not only into what Women in HVAC does, but what we're going to have for you for the conference. We have a lot of stuff coming up at conference. We're super excited. And like I mentioned earlier, do the ambassador program and look into the mentor-mentee. Maybe you're really seasoned in what you're doing and you'd love to become a mentor to somebody. We would love some mentors to come in and sign up and tell us what some of your strengths are so that you can lead another female into the industry. And if you're somebody who wants to get a little bit more training, sign up as a mentee and get more involved in Women in HVAC and take advantage of what's been provided by this organization, because all they want to do is uplift.
I love that. And now Sarah will be at conference with us, so you can find her there as well. So if you have any questions, if you're joining us, also she is on the board. So we've had the pleasure of having her also serve on our contractor advisory committee, which has been something new that we brought in this year to really give us advice from the contractor level so we could really better serve that community of our members. So if you want to ask her any questions regarding what that looked like, or if you want to serve in the future on the contractor advisory committee, you can reach out to her as well to kind of share what that would look like as far as service going forward. So we're wrapping up tonight, and I just want to see if we have any last questions. I do see Angelica, she said, "Thank you for sharing your story. I've been in the industry for 20 years, and seeing and hearing from other women is amazing. I'm new this year to Women HVACR, and I'm looking forward to learning more." Well, we're excited to have you.
We're very excited to have you. Please stay involved and sign up for some of those committees. And if you get an opportunity to come to conference, I know the executive director, Amy, has been sending out emails and stuff asking for people to sign up for committees, because we're always looking for support and help. The more hands that we can get at conference, the better and easier for transition it makes for all of us on the board and for the people that are attending. So if you want to get involved, there's tons of opportunity, and I can't wait to see you guys.
Yes, always opportunity to help us out. So any last words of encouragement, Sarah, that you have for the next generation of women in HVACR?
Love yourself. Just remember that you've got to be kind, and kindness starts at you. Be okay with your mistakes, be okay with your failures. Just remember to be kind. When you're kind to yourself, you're kind to other females. If you're not kind to yourself, you're not going to be kind to a female in front of you. So kindness is key. That's what I tell my daughters. I make them very strong, make them very bold, and I make them very sassy, even though I don't like all the sass sometimes. But I do tell them that they have to be kind. And that's just been my big thing. Just be kind to yourself and love yourself.
The Sarah Sass, we're coining it right here. Well, it has been a pleasure tonight interviewing you, Sarah, and of course, serving you with you on the board this year. So I'm sure everyone has taken a lot away from this evening, but remember, you can see her at conference. You have her contact information. Follow her on Instagram and LinkedIn and all the places. So just remember, the title may be where you start, but it's your journey that sets you apart. So thanks for going behind the title with me, and see you next time.